Okay. This is the Sausage Sports Club Weekly Update. I do this every week for a bunch of reasons. One, I think it's a useful resource for students or new developers who want to get into making an indie game to see just how it works, what you think about during the week, how you plan to finish a project instead of just like working aimlessly in any direction that seems fun that day. Another reason is the obvious marketing thing of if you talk more about something, more people are likely to hear about it. Third reason is for me, so that in 5 to 10 years I'll be able to look back on developing this game and actually have some like reasonable way to evaluate it, and I'll be able to look back at my thought process and stuff instead of having like fuzzy memories. And then the fourth reason is that sometimes as I'm streaming, people will come into the stream, see how I'm doing something, and say, "That's stupid, you should do it this way." And most of the time that's really useful and helpful, and only some of the time is it annoying or insulting. So those are the 4 reasons I do the stream. This week was pretty big, so what I'm going to do this week is just go down the list of everything I did, and then since we've kind of been like gearing towards the end of the project and like finishing stuff off, I will also talk about what's left to be done. A really big thing that happened today was I played through. First, I woke up and I knew I was going to have a meeting with the sound guys and our QA person, and we were going to play through the game and talk about it and talk about things that are wrong and things we need, like that I want to make sure we get done or that they want to have as a high priority. So I woke up and immediately played through before the meeting to make sure that it was like in a good state to show, and I played through the whole game through adventure mode, and it worked, and it was fun, and it was cool. It was kind of like all the pieces clicking together, and that was really exciting. Of course there were issues and bugs happened, and I had to like navigate around issues with like developer controls and stuff, but it was really cool to be able to actually just like do the whole game and see what it is. So that said, I'm just gonna go through the stuff I did this week. Drink some water first. Spastic Chihuahua, I'll come back to that after I run down this list. So this week a bunch of stuff happened. I broke it down into big categories. This is an unusually productive week, so there's a bunch of stuff here. Something I'm super excited about but doesn't really impact the game as a whole that much is I made a big breakthrough with AI, where there are a few places in the game where AI gets stuck somewhere and then really struggle to like figure out how to solve their way out of it. One example is in the jungle over here. There's these like treetop things that I'll actually like jump in and play. If the like a human player gets on top of that and they have an NPC or either an NPC following them or an AI like co-op buddy player following them around. Previously that like you would get up there and then bots just couldn't figure out what to do. There was no way for them to navigate up there. You can do this and just get up, and it's super easy. But the intended use is that you stomp on this button and then go up the air vent and land up here. There's also another shortcut right here where you can just jump up. But bots don't know that. They just know like the details of the nav mesh. Let me go into C&D for this. And a nav mesh is a pre-baked kind of shape that defines where AI controlled characters can traverse the map. And I don't use the built-in like navmesh agent. I built on top of that so that my agents, or my AI I should say, use this navmesh and calculate their own path, and then do their own thing with it rather than like relying on the navmesh agent. And anyway, this big breakthrough I had was, if you go into the navmesh bake tab or whatever, you see there's this generated offmesh links here, and what that does is, as it bakes this entire navmesh, it looks for any place where you can see the edge of this is like a dot and a line. It looks for anywhere that there's a section of the navmesh that's above another section where you might, like you can see here, these gizmos where you would be able to drop down from one section of the mesh to another section, even though it's not connected. In a game like this, like a platformer, a lot of actors would just be able to walk off an edge and fall down to the lower part, and that's great. And so this automatically, like Unity's navmesh bake tool has tools to automatically generate like points like this where it'll fall off an edge, and it's really cool, and I thought that was great, but that didn't solve my problem over here of you know, there's an NPC on the ground, I'm on this platform, I need them to get up, and I didn't know how to solve this. I wasn't, you know, I didn't know all of the navmesh system, and I still don't, but now I know more of it. What I discovered is that you can define your own navmesh points instead, or offmesh links, which help a navmesh. And what you can do is, over here on the right, I've got my navmesh link component, and you define a start point and an end point. And you can define a cost, but it's not important. And you can define whether players can like go both ways, or whether AI can use it both ways. And there's also this auto update position, so that if in real time I move around my point, will the navmesh update to like figure out how that changes the navmesh link and whatever. But the point being that now I, you know, as a designer, can go through the map and say, oh, navmesh or AI are having a problem getting from this point to that point. Let me like define a way for them to do that. And so I make this navmesh thing, and now if a player is traversing a navmesh path and suddenly their next point is like super high, like above them, then I can recognize that in code and say, okay, let's jump. Like that's clearly, this is like a jump navmesh point, it's an offmesh link, so let's jump. I haven't done that step. That would be more clever than what I did. What I've done so far is I create this navmesh link. My AI knows, okay, there's a link here from, you know, this point on the ground up to this point at the top. That's great. So they'll run over this point, and then they just like slam into the wall, can't get up. So what I've done is, my hack to like fix this AI thing is, I put a trigger volume here with a component on it called AI jump zone, and this is a trigger that when an AI player runs into it, it tells the AI player to jump and move forwards, and you know, for some predetermined amount of time. And this is like the dumbest hack, but it totally works. Like AI get to this and then they just jump up, and it's great. So that's cool. Similarly, for this other way of getting up, I do an even more hacky hack where at the start there's an offmesh link from this button up to the top platform here, and because like if I run from down here up through and do that shortcut, the fastest way that the AI is going to see to get to me is going to be this offmesh link entrance here. So they're going to run onto that, and then on that position there's another trigger, and that trigger says to do a stomp, which makes the AI jump and then stomp. And because they happen to be on the button, they hit the button, and the button also disables that link. So now this link that they were trying to traverse doesn't exist anymore, and this gust zone that would lift them up, there's a nav mesh there, or an off mesh link there that activates. So now they've hit the button, now the gust zone is active. Now another nav mesh or another off mesh link activates saying, no, come here to get up, that'll fix it. And so then they run into the gust zone and then get tossed up. And so this was like my huge breakthrough of like, oh, I can totally just like hack this, do this game designery hack to just fix this. And I want to show that because I'm so proud of how stupid it is. And I didn't, when I was writing this, I didn't think of that other thing where if I recognize, like I can see in code, if a point is like some distance above me, treat it as a jump. So I might go in and make that change too. So here's what I want to do. So there's a lot of like gizmo stuff happening here on the screen. You can see there's my player, and then the other, the AI that's following me, and they're just trying to track me, and they've got this white line, and that's basically their path to get to me. So if I go around the corner, like if I hit him, and now if I go around this corner, he's gonna know that he needs to wrap around the corner there. So let's go up on that point. You'll see his white line go to the button, and then he stomps, and then his path changes to the gust zone, and now he comes up. And so that's what's up. That's how I did it. Here's another example where he'll go to that other jump zone. I can't point with my hand, you can't see that. Go to that other jump zone, and that'll force him to jump. Boom. And then there's another one of those jump zones there, and he's with me. So I'm pretty excited about that. And that was like how I started the week. Spastic Chihuahua, since I'm apparently gonna like deep dive into these things, I'll answer as I go. I first started learning to code in college when I was 18. I went to DePaul University in Chicago, and it was like the first quarter of starting at DePaul, I took a C++ programming class. And I had once before that, for like maybe like 3 or 4 hours, I had tried to program in Flash when I was like 13, and I was like super excited, but I got bored of it, as a lot of kids tend to do, and just like was like, oh, I guess I can't do this. Like I don't know how to do the rest of the things I want to do, so I'll just stop. And then I didn't try to code again for 5 years, and then in college I learned the academic way, I guess. Am I using A-star? I think Unity uses A-star internally, but when I say that I'm calculating my own path, I don't mean that I'm like doing a bunch of hard math. I mean that Unity's got a nav mesh calculate path. Let me do. How do I get to it? Calculate path. Yeah, so I'm Unity's got an AI, a nav mesh agent component, and that you can say to that thing, move to a position, and it'll internally calculate the path, calculate like the move vector and acceleration and all this stuff. But it feels kind of like slippery, and I don't like the way it feels, so I use this function to get a path, which is just an array of vectors. And then I basically iterate along the vectors of, or the points in the path, until I find one that's far enough away that it's reasonable to move towards it, and then I just keep doing that until I've reached the end of the path. Or I mean I do a path every frame, so it's every frame I get a path from point A to B, and as long as I'm farther than some distance away from B, I'll like follow the path to get to B. Yeah. Nice. I thought ActionScript was cool. I didn't know what programming even was. I just like found some tutorial of getting a plane to fly, and used I used the arrow keys to get a plane to move around in 4 directions, and then was like, well, I don't I don't know how to do anything else, and this tutorial is over, so I stopped. I'm gonna keep going so that I don't take like 4 hours. These are in a weird order. I want to make them in a good order. Progression. Okay. Okay, that's a better order. So aside from that AI pathfinding breakthrough, I also did a little bit of work on quick play, which is where you started the menu and load directly into an arena, no overworld. You just pick your characters and then go into an arena. And the biggest complaint I heard of this mode, there are 2 big complaints. And the one I fixed here isn't one that people necessarily complain about directly. Like, they don't know this is the issue. They just what they see is like a difficult to understand process of getting into the game. So in the thing I added as context is in arenas, in addition to the hat cart where you can change your hat and the trophies where you can choose what mode you want to play, I've added this temp art change arena trigger, which lets me just like switch to another arena. I hit a button, I immediately go to that arena, and we can easily switch. Whereas previously the way to go to another arena is to go back to the main menu, or at the main menu, go into quick play, pick your arena, say I want to go to the junkyard, and the big part, like the big shitty part that was holding up people at conventions, and kind of I could see it wearing on their face, like that they were frustrated, is you have to go back to this player select and do this again. And so if I'm playing with a big group of people, let's say 8 people, and let's make it even harder. I'm introducing a lot of these people, or even just some of these people, to the game, and they don't get this interface yet of like picking tokens and picking your characters this way. You have to teach them, and like they have to figure it out, and if they're having trouble, they're gonna get frustrated and like feel awkward, and like they're taking up everybody's time, or everybody's watching them or whatever, and that's like not a good feeling. It's frustrating, it's scary. I would see this happen in a lot of packs where a young kid, or like an older family member, or somebody that doesn't play games very much would pick up the controller, they'd get to this screen, and they'd be like, I don't know what the fuck this is. I don't know how to use a cursor. I don't understand that I have to move this pog to somewhere else. And it was just tough for them. And then they would get into the game, they would play one match, or a couple matches in the arena, and then they'd be like, oh, somebody in their group would say, oh, they were in other arenas, can we play one of those? And then I'd say, yeah, you just got to go back to the main menu. And then they'd do this, and they'd be like, oh, cool, nice, there's a bunch of arenas. And then they get to this, and I'd look at the person that was having trouble, and they'd go, oh no, I don't want to do, they'd make this horrible face, and they'd push through it often, but it was, that's like a bad experience of the game if that's how you're reacting to it. So I added that thing, and it's been good. I just noticed in loading to the junkyard that the light in that scene is really bright. junkyard light too bright. Okay, back to our list. The other thing about that is that that globe arena only shows up in quick play. So if I go into the overworld and I go into an arena, it doesn't show up there because I want players to spend time in the overworld because there are toys there and fun things to do, and it's fun to like knock your friends around. So having more space to do that is better. And there also only appears if you have unlocked more than the first arena that I give you at the start of the game. Just because if it wasn't like that, you'd open it and see like locks over the other arenas, and that's like not really what I want. Okay, progression. Let me jump back into the game. I'm gonna block everything again. Filling my save here, just so you can see what this is. In case you're not familiar, in Sausage Sports Club, you unlock characters, skins, arenas, and hats as you play. Hats you unlock all the time. Like if I play with a toy and do a good job, I'll give you some like coins to unlock a hat, and there are like 60-ish of those, so you get those all the time. And then there are 14 characters and 50-something skins between all those characters. So there are a similar number of those, but there are separate paths to unlock those things. And like I said, unlocking hats, you just do something and then like a widget pops up on screen that says like, here's some coins. But to unlock the bigger stuff, when this happens only in kind of bigger moments in the game, and it's everybody in the game unlocks it at once. So if we all finish a match, if the match was really long, meaning like we were having a close match and we were in sudden death for a long time, I'm gonna give you more points for that. That rewards everybody for having more fun. And if you unlock hats, that's like me personally as Chris am unlocking this sequence of hats. I get my own, they're different from yours. Hey Stipunsen. Stipunsen, that's like a funny name to say. Yes, you do the sequence, you get, I got Pink Scout. Man, I needed to fucking get rid of Flux, it's so bad. Welcome. I do remember it's Gumball. You were one of the people in the Twitch competition during the Kickstarter, right? What am I saying? Progression. Yeah, so one of the things I added this week was that the XP amount you get is based on how long the match took or how intense it was. And I also added arenas back to being things you unlock as you play. Basically, as you progress through adventure mode, like during adventure mode, every day of adventure mode, you get more of the overworld to play in. Like day 1, I only get the jungle. Day 2, I get the jungle in the whoops, that's annoying. Here, I'll just go into scene view. Yeah, day 2 you get the jungle and the ocean area. Day 3 you get those two and the desert, and then the last one you get the Hollywood area, which isn't done yet. But in quick play or free play, which is just like the overworld, but you can go anywhere. I want you to be able to unlock those and play as you want. Does that make sense? So as I get that, unlock progress bar over and over again, eventually I'll unlock all of the arenas. And so if I go to free play, I'll be able to play anywhere in the overworld. But when I play in adventure mode, to keep the feeling of an adventure, and you're like going on an arc of like unlocking stuff as you go and getting more of the map to play in and stuff like that. I want it to feel like you're going through this sequence of getting better and having more more available choices. And so even if you've unlocked all of the arenas in adventure mode, it's still each day of the arena, you know, how far you are into adventure mode determines what biomes are available. I don't know if I'm over or under explaining this. So the new stuff this week, I redid the UI of the progression stuff. I added arenas back, and I also added a new. Cheers, man. I added a new final like when you've unlocked everything, instead of the unlock bar coming up and like filling and you get nothing, or disappearing, like never popping up again. There's a message that says you've unlocked everything, so that you don't get your hopes up that you're gonna get something when the meter fills. There's no meter fill, and I'll show you this. The other thing is to kind of reward the player for doing everything and seeing everything. Once they've unlocked all of the skins and characters and arenas, I wanted to give you one more thing that's low cost for me, but kind of adds a lot of content, or like adds a lot of value, I guess. Like if somebody's played long enough that they're that into the game and they've like invested that much time and effort, I want what am I doing here? Junkyard Tiny Tokyo. I want to give you, you know, a commensurate reward as a thank you, or as a reward, or whatever. So what that's going to be is developer commentary mode, or however you want to describe it. Let me unlock it. And what that is all around the overworld, I'm going to place these like dialogue bubbles. So this is the thing. It's unlocked now, and that's everything unlocked. Let's grab it. It looks like I somehow broke that, but I can still get it. Okay. Yeah, so these will be floating around the world, and wherever they're floating in the world, there will be some, you know, related anecdote about, like this one might be about the statue, or the gong won't be here, but this one might be about the gong. And these will be placed all over the overworld, and also in the arenas probably. And they'll get disabled during matches, so that they're not like annoying. But they just, once you've used them, they like disable and turn off, and that's saved. So if you get partway through commentary and then come back, you know, they'll be grayed out still. And so I hope that's fun for people. I know it'll be interesting for me to make those and like look back over the development of the game and see what interesting anecdotes I can tell. But I came up with this idea and wrote the whole system like in one afternoon. It's like not that complicated, so that was a cool thing. And I feel like that's I'm really happy with that as a finale of the unlock system, because it is like the only people who are gonna the people who are gonna be interested in that are also the people who will play enough to get through that unlock progression. So I think my time will be well spent making that, because it will only the people that would want to see it will get to the point where they can see it. If you didn't recognize the dialogue bubbles, they're like crazily inspired by the orange box. I'm not hiding that at all. I totally just like lifted the idea. And if you haven't played through that, the orange box version, That game came out 10 years ago. It's a combined pack of Portal, Half-Life 2, and Team Fortress 2, which is like a crazy set. But each of them, I believe, has this same system of like there's dialogue bubbles all over the game worlds in each of those games, and you can hear the developers talk about. I feel like it's mostly about like solving design problems and not super technical, but it's been like 9 years since I played through that. Okay, so that's progression stuff. A side note here, the like hat unlock progress stuff I was talking about, there's a system in that for the game now, or yeah, a system for that in the game, and I can jump to it. Side room. Sure. There's a system for that in the game, and I'm actually not going to be able to. Here's what I'll do. I will load this as the hat shop tutorial, and hopefully that will trigger it to start so you can see the shitty state of it. Hat shop tutorial. Currently, I'm doing this weird thing where you, when you do something worthy of like getting hat coins or progress or whatever, a meter pops up and it's like a percent bar, like 0 to 100%, and it fills up some amount of the way. And if you do fill it up all the way, then you get 1 hat token, which can immediately be redeemed for a hat at the hat shop. So he'll give me some of this progress right now. This is what it looks like. There are numbers, like it should say like 50% out of 100, and then like that number's going up as it fills, but I broke some UI masking stuff. But anyway, that's the state of it. I'm gonna change it, and you also can see how many hat unlock tokens you have, to spend in the menu. And if I had like 50%, this, I don't know why I keep pointing, this gray meter would be like a green fill bar, like those health bars in Kingdom Hearts. So it would like fill up however much you had, so you could check your progress here. But I've play tested this a little bit, and people find it confusing. And if it was just like a number of coins, that would be way more clear. So that's what I'm going to change it to. And when I give you progress, that's way more clear as well. Of like, oh, I got 50 tokens. The last time I unlocked a hat, it cost 25 tokens, so I know I can get 2-ish hats. The one weird pain point of that is that hats will increase in cost as you get more hats. So that's a weird communication issue of like somewhere on the screen right now when I'm standing in front of the hat machine, I need to show how much money you have and also how much money this hat is going to cost you, which isn't a problem with the existing system, because you know how much you have, because if you have enough you can do it. That's the sequence. So that's regarding progression. This is why I'm talking about this. This is the other branch that I still need to do, and probably will do this week. Hat-based game on the Switch. Is that Hat in Time? Yeah, so that's that. Let's move on from hat stuff. Whew. I think I mentioned, but I haven't recorded the commentary yet. I've just wrote down some ideas. Oh yeah, Odyssey. Oop, I spilled coffee on myself. I'll be the indie hat game. Mario can be the hat game, but I'll be the indie hat game. Okay, let's talk about adventure mode because that was like most of my week, and I can't. For most of it, I can't condense it down to like this neatly packed like here is the thing I did for AI this week because it's not that simple. Um, but instead, I worked on a bunch of little parts and like iterating on the flow and the feel and like making the beats of like of telling you the adventure mode story and recapping your adventure as a player. Those, like I iterated on that stuff. Are all the versions going to be exactly the same? They're gonna be exactly the same. I really would love to put a Mario hat in, but I'm pretty sure if I were to ask Nintendo, they would either say, "Nah, your game's too small," or there would be like this huge process of like I have to get it reviewed, and then they're gonna reject it a couple times until it's exactly perfect. Um, I'll it won't there won't be a Mario hat in the game for launch, but I will ask about that after the game comes out because it would I'd love to do it. It's such a cool idea, and it, it fits really well. Um, but no official plans for Mario hat. Um, okay, so adventure mode stuff. It's kind of hard for me to show all of this stuff, so I'll I'll talk about it as I go. Um, so the I think the coolest thing I did this week for adventure mode was in co-op mode. If I start an adventure with two friends or three friends, previously what would happen is there would be four of us on a team against the one NPC on the other team, and we would just like completely steamroll the other team, and it would feel boring and like a lot of the matches would feel the same because a 4-on-1 match like doesn't feel interesting or challenging ever. So what I've done now is I'll fill out the other team with NPC like friends of the main NPC that you're playing against. Like for context, each quest usually is an interpersonal conflict between two NPCs. You come in, hear both sides, and then like help resolve it in some way. And they almost always are resolved by playing a sports match to decide who is right or who will will win the situation. And so you join one of the teams, and then the other team is the other NPC opponent, whatever. But we fill out their team to balance out the teams because in co-op it might be 4 against 1, and so we would fill it out to be 4 against 4. And this is kind of fun because what we get to do here is decide who all of the characters are friends with, like who is for every NPC, like Peter the eagle or Peck the pigeon or Scout the dog, who are their best friends that would fill out their team. And it should be consistent so that every time that happens you can be like, oh, Scout always has Peter on his team, that's interesting, like why are they friends? And that I like it because I got to make up my own headcanon, and then that's what the game is, and then other people will be like, oh, why are they friends, what is their relationship like? I think that's fun. And it also made the matches more interesting and feel more different than they were before. Oh, I also I don't think I mentioned it in here, but I made it so the quest matches are actually random modes instead of just always soccer. So those two things combined are pretty big. I simplified the tutorial logic. Previously, I was trying to save every like little bit of progression data. Like at the start, you have a dialogue where Scout talks to you, then he tells you to go meet you at the gym. If you go into the gym, I wanted to make it so when you load the game, if you were to in the tutorial go to the gym and then quit, if you go back into the game, I wanted to like load you back at that spot and not show the like task on screen that says like go to the gym. But eventually I decided that's just like it's not important, and if somebody quits the game and comes back a week later, it's not going to matter that they're progress in a quest that lasts like 5 minutes wasn't saved. It's just not like useful. It's not a useful way to spend my time, and it's has the potential to be a source of a lot of bugs if I were to support that granular kind of progress saving. So I just decided we're gonna save when the tutorial ends, and that's it. And so that's what I'm doing. And so there are no bugs there with tutorial progression now, because we only save once. This one's not super interesting to talk about, but I fixed a slew of bugs related to exiting adventure mode in the middle of a day and then going back into it. The expected behavior there is that the quests you have completed that day remain completed, and all the other quests that were spawned in that day get spawned in again that day. And that's kind of a weird thing, but I still haven't solved that completely. But the main source of bugs so far was that when I was exiting adventure mode, I wasn't properly clearing all of the like routines of quests happening, or like I wasn't deleting all the quest payloads properly, or deleting all the NPCs, or saving off the like what quests were in progress today, which were completed. So I did a pass of just like making all that stuff work as expected. So that's general adventure stuff. I'll answer Spastic Chihuahua's question before I move on to the other stuff. My experience of working with the Switch dev kit has been really good. It was really easy to get up and running. It took like 2 or 3 days to like get the game to build and run on the system, which I'll say was longer than other consoles, playing with other consoles has taken to just get up and running for the first time. So it is a little bit more it's less mature than other platforms, but it was still like fine. The hard part for me was I had to like learn how to write batch scripts a lot better than I knew how to do, just to like refine my process. So instead of when I started, it was like I'd hit the build button in Unity, that would export some kind of like pile of data, and then I have to click on some batch script to turn that pile of data into the type of file that is actually playable on the Switch, and then I need to run another batch script to take that file and put it on the Switch. And what I really wanted was to hit build in Unity, and then that just goes onto the Switch. And at the time, the SDK or whatever, like the Unity version that Nintendo ships that supports Switch didn't work. Like you couldn't just build to the Switch. You had to build and then do all these steps. So before that was working in Unity. Now it works in Unity. I had to automate that process myself. What else can I say about the Switch dev kit? It's cool. It just looks like the Switch, so you can take it on the train and stuff. Be local, wireless, and/or LAN. No, Stepun-san, unfortunately there is no online multiplayer of any kind, wireless or LAN between consoles. That wouldn't be wireless, but you have to play on one console, and that's the only way to play it. I'm still interested in doing that. If the game sells decently well, then I'll investigate it, because that's like an obvious huge value boost, but it's not going to ship like that. Other Switch dev kit stuff. I don't know. I don't have anything else to say specifically about the Switch dev kit or like working with Nintendo, because the other platforms have similar issues, and they're similarly strict, and it's just like Also regarding all of them, I'll say it's a technical process. It's the requirements of optimizing and getting shaders to run and getting your game to feel good on each platform are different from PC and require like you have to do investigative work to like figure out the differences, and not everything is necessarily listed on the forum. So having friends who have worked on that platform or making friends that have worked on that platform and talking to them is very useful. I actually haven't done any like Switch specific development in a few months because until the game is done, it doesn't matter. And it was running at a plenty good frame rate, especially with less than 8 players. So I was just like, this is good enough. I'll come back to it. So that's all I'll say about Switch for now. Okay, on to the next stuff. These two are kind of a pair, the end of day sequence and the finale sequence. Since I know some people here haven't seen these things, I will jump into it to show it. The end of day sequence, for context, in adventure mode, when you play through an adventure, what this is a season of 4 days of playing the Sausage Sports Club reality TV show, and in each day you go explore the overworld, you play sports matches, you unlock hats and stuff, and you go on quests where you, as I mentioned before, you help solve interpersonal dramas between different pairs or triplets. I don't know the word, triplets of characters. And then once you're done with a day, then as is common in reality shows or serial TV shows, you get a review of your progress. We can jump into that. And that's part of what makes it feel like a reality show. Like if it didn't have that, it wouldn't feel like a reality show. So we're already coming up on the last day. Can you believe it? There's still one more day, but I think I know who's gonna win. Let's see what happened today. That dialogue needs some editing. First, Sniff got paranoid that Flop's new diss track was dissing her. Never seen that guy so hopping mad. Then Bud and Scout played hide and seek with Remy. You know the rest. Remy got made, that's a typo, every time they found him. And last, Bonbon tries to raise Peck's spirits with a change in wardrobe. But apparently their tastes are incompatible and Bonbon couldn't accept Peck's choice. That one did not end well. So those are like the that bird just flew through the gym. I missed that. What happened there, Stipboonsing? I didn't see. Anyway, so we start with some like witty dialogue from this news anchor Dirk. He kind of like reminds you that you're playing on a season, that you finished a day, and then he recaps, here are the quests you did today, so you can see your progress. And then we literally see how you did with stats, and this stuff obviously still needs to be hooked up. But and this is new this week. And the idea behind this is at the end of adventure mode, in the finale, you in the style of a reality show like Survivor or like Mario Party. That's good. I like that. Yeah, in the style of Survivor or Mario Party, you eventually get to the end and you kind of recap over everything, and you wanna like value the viewer, or in this case player's time, and like show that their specific experience and playthrough was important, and of course reward them. That's all for today. And so in the finale, what we do is we take into account the specific quests that you played during the campaign and the characters you interacted with most and most helped or most offended, and we put those people into the finale as like the people you're competing with to win awards and then eventually win the final, the final like show. And I'll jump to that, and you won't exactly see that promise fulfilled when I'm demoing it here, because this is like a debug thing where I'm jumping to the last day, so there is no day to sample. Okay, so this is the last day. All the overworld is unlocked. There's characters all over the place. You can see one over there. You can see one in the desert. You can see one here. I'm going to skip it because I don't want to play through all the quests because that would take a long time. Here's the finale, and I'll unmute the audio for this part. These last 5 weeks, and now it's time for some payoff. Let's get started. First, we'll award medals for the best traits and a Sausage Sports Club athlete. So this is the awards I was talking about. We go through each of those like kind of stat groups and award medals based on how everybody did, which is totally fake. Basically, what I want is for each of these medals, there are three. There's first place, second place, third place, and the human player, the avatar of the players, is always in those first 3 places, and where you place in that is based on how well you did. So those rankings will decide one single solitary. I wish. Oh, I can go back. No, I can't. Okay. Athleticism. So this is like, the actual like good at playing sports. This one's for the strongest, fastest, slammingest player out there. Who's it gonna be? Wow. And since we didn't play any matches, we don't have a win ratio, so we did really bad. So we're in 3rd place. And this dialogue is temp, but it would say something along the lines of, "Congratulations, character who won." Jaws in this case. You did really good in some specific way that only Jaws would do good. But I still have to write this dialogue. Wow. Cool. Sportsmanship is, friendship, helping people, as opposed to like purposefully making people angry by picking the meanest option you can. This one is just like exploring the island. Who saw the most toys, arenas, maybe talk to the most NPCs. I think I'm gonna, as you get into the second half of adventure mode and you have the entire overworld unlocked, it starts to feel a little bit empty. So I think I'm going to spawn more than just quest NPCs, and I'll probably give them little like flavor text, like things that are like charming but don't necessarily give you any like I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's not valuable as like mechanically, you're not learning anything new about the island, but you're maybe learning something new about the character. And then that's one category, and then the other category is them giving you hints of like places to go play at the island, or something like that, or maybe like hints about what hats you could still unlock, or skins or something, or jokes. Like, it could just be jokes. We're on to the last one. Style. Everyone knows half our viewers are here for the fashion. Great show, trying all the hats and skins you could find. So that's obvious. It's just like, did you unlock a lot of hats? Did you try a lot of hats on? It's good. You probably saw them pop in there. It's a tie. Wow, this haven't happened since Sausage Sports Club 98. I know what to do. We'll settle it with a tiebreaker. One match, winner take all. Um, there would be dialogue here where Jaw's relationship with me as the player would be expressed in some dialogue of them being like, man, you were a huge jerk the whole season. I'm so glad we get to face off and I can crush you. That would be if you were mean to them, or if you were nice to them, it'd be something like, I'm so glad we got to be friends this season. I thought I was gonna be cutthroat here, but you were really cool. It's too bad we have to play against each other in the finals, or like if I have to beat someone, if I have to challenge someone if I have to tie someone for the win, I'm glad it's you, or something like that. You get to pick a mode just to like give it a little flavor. Yeah, man, the leg in this scene is too bright. It's real bad on the players. And then you play the end match, and that actually decides who wins. It like wins the season. If you lose this match, you lose the season. And that's I think it's a weird paradigm in games, especially like a kid-friendly game like this, but I think it's more interesting than just like forcing you to replay the same match over and over until you win or something like that. What the hell? Why? What just happened? Why is there another character? Oh, I don't know where that guy came from. That's very good. Okay, I gotta score one more ball. That guy just moved, or I kick him? Shit. Okay, now I can skip the timer. And match complete. So we go back to the finale now. Whoa, can you believe it ended like that? I'll be up all night thinking about that one. Well, enough about me, let's get down to business. This year's Sausage Sports Club champion is Bud, the rookie, the person who's somehow never watched SSC. Anyway, you did it. Congrats. See you next season. Okay. What is this third dude? That's so weird. So that last sequence after the tiebreaker still needs a little bit of visual polish, like when Dirk announces like, you are the winner. I want to jump the camera to your player and then like zoom it out slowly or maybe quickly, so that it's like dramatic, like it's you, and then you zoom out so you can see everybody and see him talking again. Nice, Stepun-san. I'm glad to see you're like excited by all the progress. That's cool. It's definitely a much better, bigger game with more interesting ideas than it was during the Kickstarter. And then this is the credit sequence, which was last week. Last week's stream, I spent a lot of time working on the credits, and this is just like a little bit different from that. I think I made it so that you could actually like pound and knock stuff away. So, something I guess since I'm on the credits, something else I want to do that I haven't done yet with the credits is to make some of the names or some of the letters like golden and shiny, and if you hit those, then you as a player, like you individually, get tokens which will go towards hat unlocks. So it becomes more than just like a silly, physics, like knock shit around, and it becomes more of like competitive, or I don't know, there's more to it. Like there's a reason to be here and be excited to be here, besides just like it's fun to do this. So that will be something I try once I like update the hat stuff that I was talking about. You can also speed through this if you want to. think the timer is a little bit long in there. So that's adventure mode. Stuff I didn't talk about. In the finale sequence there, while the when medals are being awarded to the different players, something that's completely invisible to you now and will be to players hopefully is that the characters you play at during the season have different you know, they all have different personalities, and you can tell that from the writing, but in the awards section I want that to apply to like the medals they win, like and so invisible behind the scenes, I've tweaked a bunch of settings per player of like certain characters are more likely to show up during the fashion sequence, certain characters are more likely to show up during the athletic sequence. Like Bon Bon, the flamingo, is like a key trait of their characters that they're interested in fashion and want to share fashion and like get other people into like dressing cool. And so it makes sense, like they would be much more likely to be in the style section of the award show. So if you see them in a quest even once, they're probably going to talk about fashion, and then when you see them in the medal section for fashion at the end, you're going to be like, oh, of course they're in here. They're the one that likes fashion. So that's another thing. I think I mentioned this a little bit, but players can do, and it showed there, like how the player does at these different things determines actually where you end up on the pedestals, and how much like unlock money you'll get from winning or whatever. Something you wouldn't have noticed is that I tweaked all the cameras and like tweaked the finale scene a bunch. It looks a lot better now than it did a week ago. Let's go over that scene. Okay, cool. Okay, so for example, now the stage is like shiny and reflective, which you may have noticed. The curtains here like way better match the color of the section behind them. This curtain actually has a shadow on it now, which added a lot. I don't know why it didn't make it have a shadow before. That's a big deal. Regarding the cameras, I had previously set up all of the camera positions. You can't, there, you can see the preview here. And I set like special FOV, so you get like a nice wide shot. Or sorry, a nice, what do you call it? What's the opposite of the wide shot? Close? I don't, anyway, you get like the lower FOV, so it's like a more close framing. And the first iteration of the finale, I implemented it slightly wrong so that FOV wasn't properly being applied, and so all the camera shots looked really weird. But now that I've like fixed that, it just feels much better at the end, because it's like more, cameras are all more purposefully placed to like frame the different characters' expressions. So that stuff's all new and good. There's, I don't know if you heard it, but there's a drum roll sequence when Dirk is like, and this medal goes to, and then it pans the camera over to the curtain and then waits there for like 2.5 seconds or something, and then it splits and there are fireworks. During that pause, there's like actual drum roll now, so before there's drum roll, it felt really weird and awkward. But that's all new. Shout out to Tom Duncan, who made the drum roll. So yeah, that's all the stuff I did this week, pretty much. I also I mentioned this morning that I played adventure mode from start to finish and took notes on it. I did that once, and then I fixed some bugs, and then we had a meeting, myself, the sound guy, music guy, and QA person, and and we played through the game, took notes, talked about it, set some internal deadlines, like when I want to submit the Switch build again for cert, and that's like middle of next month, which means the game definitely won't be out by the end of February, in case you were wondering. Not to say that it will be out immediately after that, just like it definitely won't be out before that. So there's that. I'll talk about what is next in a second, but I want to go through this list of bugs and stuff just so you have an idea of what the state of things is and what we're thinking about. So I just have a notebook in front of me. There are some dates on it, but those dates aren't the dates. Okay, so playtest notes, I'm just going to read through them. We're worried about confusing players in the gym tutorial by showing, by teaching players to swing their head by having them hit punching bags. It could potentially teach players that that's how you're supposed to punch, like hit things with your head, and that's not how you fight. So that might not be like a good way to teach that. There's not enough feedback in the gym of where you're supposed to, how you're supposed to exit. And the tutorial scout tells you at some point to exit the gym. Let's do side room. Don't need a bot. Yeah, at the end of the gym tutorial, scout says, meet me at the hat shop, and it doesn't specify like go back out the way you came or how to get to the hat shop. It just says meet me at the hat shop. And so when that happens, you're like right over here, and it's like maybe somebody will get stuck and they won't be able to figure out how to get out. The way to do that is to walk up to this wall, which is where you came in, and this trigger pops up. There's no official tutorial of teaching how to use that trigger, but to get into the gym in the first place, you do have to do it. So we're assuming you figure out there. But we're thinking there will be a mat in front of this door. So that's the thing. The hat tutorial is a little bit jank right now, and I need to rewrite the dialogue because when I originally wrote the dialogue for the hat tutorial, the sequence was you go into the hat shop, scout tells you how to unlock hats and that you'll get those for playing and doing matches and stuff, and then said once you unlocked your first hat, it didn't pop onto your head, it just showed you what it was, and then like went to the hat cart. If you've seen that. Side room. But now, because it's more satisfying to have the hat immediately click onto your head when you unlock a new one, the dialogue doesn't make sense, because he says when you unlock a hat, he says, oh, that one's my favorite, go to the hat cart and try that one on, but you're already wearing it. So I gotta rewrite that. In the overworld, I'm gonna actually not like super explain all of these because it would just take forever. I'm gonna kind of skim. There's a bug where there's a certain quest location where NPCs will float above the ground once they get to it. There's some weird like errors that happen when players are respawning with their like cool floaty trail, and then they go into a bubble. If you quit the game or switch to a game mode, or start a match or something while that like tween of like flying through the air and then turning into a bubble is happening, there's like an error and it fucks up the game. Remy got mad. What is that? I think that's the typo. There's a typo in there's several typos in the finale sequence. Bryce is going to look at those. There's a bug that's been plaguing the game since I fucking started it, of flags falling through the ground sometimes during capture the flag, and part of the repo seems to be that you get hit while you're carrying a flag, then that seems to make it more likely that a flag will fall through the ground. Especially happens on moving platforms in the aquarium. There's some awkward cameras in the overworld where to get back to the rest of the overworld, the camera kind of feels like it's locked and like you're not supposed to run off screen in a certain direction. I gotta fix all the temp dialogue. There's at least two quests where the dialogue of finishing the quest isn't written, and when you get there it says, "Chris, write this." So I gotta fix that. There's and the finale also has a bunch of that kind of stuff. I need to do a pass on the end of day as well. You saw that dialogue box in the finale sequence when we're awarding medals is like overlapping the second place spot. I'll fix that. Bryce came up with this today. When NPCs are spawned into a match, they have a name above their head. I think it just says bot. And if I spawn a bunch of NPCs to fill out the other team, they all just say bot above their head, and it's not confusing necessarily, but it's not funny. And that's a good... Bryce had this great idea of making 3-letter versions of all of the characters' names. So, you know, Bon would be BON or BBN or something, and Young the horse would be YNG, or Peter the eagle would be PTR, stuff like that. And that it's just like a funny way to make those characters fit into the, like, to mesh together the lore and charm of the world with like the mechanics of the sports. So I like that. Crabs are another instance of bugs that have existed as long as the game has been a game. Often when you're switching scenes, crabs will persist through the next scene because of an error that happens somewhere. Still haven't gotten that one completely fixed all the time. There's a few more options that we should probably have in the settings menu, including an option to reset your save data to nothing. I'm leaning towards not doing that because on Switch, the kind of expected way of a player doing it is to just, you know, do it through the Switch like menu system. and the docs of the Switch also suggest that that's a preferred way to do it. And then on Steam, I think it's kind of like, if people use Steam and they want to delete their save data, they probably know how to do that. So I'm not sure I want to worry about actually adding that to the game. I know we need some quality settings, some more quality settings of like how many image effects do I want on? Do I want anti-aliasing turned up super high if I'm running the game on a toaster? There's probably other performance stuff that I could add in there, but I'm not sure. Ambient occlusion is another one that's kind of expensive for low-end computers. So you need to add that stuff. There's one emoticon that players have. I think it's called Excite. I could maybe just like drop it in. Player payload. I'm not sure where that lives. NPC payload. We just stop everything? No, not that one. I like that one. No, I like that one too. Shit. Surprise is the one. Yeah, this one just looks really crappy, and so I want to fix that. I think part of it is that you can see that the scaling happens from the center rather than from the center of the like sprite or whatever. So I might go back to that. I also should just use this one for everything because it looks so much better. Surprise. That might actually just fix my problem. The fuck? I swear I don't use surprise and I just use excite everywhere. Let's do this would be 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. So it should be like emote. What is it? 5. We want to do that only in prefab files. You're gonna do it? You're gonna do it? Let's try. Okay, here we go. That's really weird. So it looks like I might just be doing something wrong. I'm not gonna worry about it right now on stream. But that one emote looks bad is the point. Let's keep going. A sound bug, the generic sound of a player hitting their face on any object, plays when they hit their face on any object instead of the expected behavior of some objects which are marked with a hit sound component and define some sound they want to play on hit. If the player hits something with that, we don't want to also play the head hit sound, so I need to figure that out. I mentioned the mat in the gym. Maybe this is something I could do on stream once we finish. The barbells and dumbbells in the gym all feel super janky because the rigid body center of mass is at the center of like this giant thing, whereas what it should be is there's 2 rigid bodies, one for each one of the side things, and those each have their own center of mass for the plates. They feel very floaty. I'm not gonna play right now to show you, but trust me. Another sound bug, the junk bots in the overworld, and in the junkyard, I guess. This dude, he walks around and his legs go like do this, and it looks great, but every time they hit the ground, there's like a clack, like, so it sounds like, and it sounds cool, but you can hear him doing that when he's over here and you're over here, and that's not good. So I gotta fix that. The junkyard leg is too bright, which I mentioned on stream. I noticed that. Let's turn off the camera zones. Why is this one? What? Why? But why? That's not what I want. strange. So anyway, that's my list of notes from the playtest. There's also a bunch of stuff that I know I still need to do that's not on this list. I guess another thing that's not on this list that I should add that we spent a good amount of time talking about is that the credit sequence feels either unfinished or like not enough of an interesting reward, like not different enough from the rest of the game that it feels like a meaningful credit sequence. Feels like not enough. I mean, it's in the right direction, but it needs to be more polished. Like not enough. So that's that. Let's get this light before I forget. Fuck. Oh boy. Okay, that's better. Okay, that's fixed. Let's get back to our list. If you guys have any more questions, now is a good time for that as I go through this other like not as important stuff. Let me grab my notebook here. So yeah, there's still a few getting down to very few like design things that still need to be done. Some of the stuff in here I can cross out. Things that still need design work. The front of the hub in the overworld. So this, when you start the game, your camera is like right here, and obviously there's just like this big gap, you know, blue yonder that you can fall into. Hollywood is clearly not done. It's just gray box still. I think I'm gonna need at least one more pass on the layout as well before I really like go through and, you know, fill in all the ideas I have. Arena exteriors, that's a big thing. In the overworld, the arenas are like a big deal. They should be hero assets, like things that you want to go to and want to explore. Currently, I've got you know, a cylinder with a cone on it, and a cylinder with a cone on it, and oh, surprise, a cylinder with a cone on it. The junkyard actually does have one, but I want to make it a little bit better. I think like there's no junkyard here, so I might do something with that. That stuff needs design. The toys in the overworld, I have like a decent number of prototypes. There's probably 10 prototypes of toys that I haven't really placed in the overworld yet. The cannon here is one of them. This might be the most fun toy in the game in my opinion. The instruments are not going to be here for sure. The basketball, I believe the basketball is going to be over here, and there's going to be a hoop along one of these walls. I'm not sure which yet. And hopefully there will be an achievement or something for like getting every type of ball in the game into the hoop. There's already some toys on the beach. I'm not going to get too much into the toys because those aren't done yet. I still need to do design work on them. The main menu is temp right now, and my hope beyond hopes is that I can redo the main menu and do something cool with it instead of being like a piece of promo art with a couple really bad looking buttons. Yeah, this is the whole menu. There's nothing more interesting than these buttons here. It's just that. also would like to get a little bit of motion on the player select screen, specifically like the background pattern should scroll left and right, and the should speed up the speed at which all the player background patterns scroll. What other design stuff do we have? During matches, during adventure mode, I think it would add so much if I could do like NPC barks during the game. Like if I score a goal in soccer and then the side of the screen pops out like Peter saying like "nice shot," or some kind of trash talk from the other NPC. I don't know. I think that would add a lot to the sense of charm and make it feel even more different from local multiplayer with your friends. I don't know if this is going to make it in for ship, but I would really like to add a difficulty setting of some kind for bots so that the players can like determine how hard the game is. Since I know, like especially this kind of game is like a lot of people that play it are going to be new gamers or have really small hands because they're like 6 years old. And so they won't be able to play as well. First time user experience is hard for me because I don't have a lot of friends who are like non-gamers, or I have a lot of friends with kids that are the right age to play this game. So I need to figure out a way to get it in the hands of people who don't play games and see how they react to it the first time they play, and if I can smooth that out at all. I need to do work on the tutorial ending. After you finish the hat shop tutorial, Scout says, meet me outside when you're ready to start adventure mode. And then you go outside and Scout's not there and adventure mode just starts and you don't know what adventure mode is, and it's kind of fucked up. Need that. I want to do a new either one piece or a couple pieces of promo art for the game. I like the main menu thing, but I feel like getting some like higher fidelity like poster or I don't know, like big indie game quality like promotional art would help boost the, what do you call it, like the perception of quality of the game. I like Storm's work a lot, but I see a lot of comments on YouTube and stuff that say it looks like something off DeviantArt, or it looks like I don't know. The comments I get on it don't make me a little bit worried, and I would rather the perception be like this is like a crazy good piece of like fantasy concept art, that like that's what I would want, and not that kind of comment. So I might revisit that. And then yeah, the other thing I mentioned before is once you unlock enough of the overworld, if there aren't enough NPCs spawned and doing things, it feels empty. So I want to put some just like randomly dispersed throughout the overworld, and maybe they have like some trash dialogue, some flavor text. That's all the design stuff. That's actually a lot. Feels like a lot, me saying it. Yeah, that's a lot of design work. I have a cork board to the right of my desk that you can't see, a bunch of stuff on it. It's actually getting kind of not empty, but it's like historically in the game I've always had like 6 columns that are like all the way down the board, and now there's, if I arranged all the cards, I could have 3, and one of those is like all post-release stuff. So it's getting close to being done. Some stuff that I could talk about from there. I need to go over the quests and do like revisions and iteration and rewrites and change the quest flow so that NPCs don't get stuck on stuff and you're not waiting like a weird amount of time. I need to do the hat unlock rework that I've been talking about. there's some music tech work that I need to do of in the overworld. When you start in the hub, there's one version of the overworld, or how do I explain this? There's a track, there's like a bass track that's like, this is the overworld theme. It's like the bass line, it's awesome. And then when you switch to the jungle, like when you walk over the jungle, we need to blend into a jungle version of that overworld theme. And if you go back to the hub, it blends back, and if you go to the ocean, it blends to the ocean version of the overworld theme. And those are all done. It's just waiting on my slow ass to implement this technology. So I need to do that. I mentioned, the design and layout of this stuff. Oh, another big design kind of thing. It's more of just like this is what a game designer's job, but it's more of just like a grunt work. There's no, showing an example would be better. In the arenas, I lay out collision as a bunch of volumes around the arena so that players and balls and other important game objects can't fly away. And in the overworld currently, I don't have any of that, so you can very much fly away or walk over this wall and get into whatever arena you want. So I need to lay all that stuff out. It's just like a tedious pain in the ass, and I've been waiting until the last possible moment so that my layouts don't change and I don't have to change all that stuff. But it's becoming time to do that. I mentioned toys. I talked about dev commentary. I need to actually like decide what the anecdotes I'm gonna do are and then put them in the game, like record talking and put them in the game. I gotta redo the main menu I mentioned. And then I would love to do an overworld pass of the entire like an art pass of the entire overworld, where I look at here's the ocean section, how do I make this look better? And then I think I'm gonna hire somebody to do, like, hire some good artists, like good like actual good artists to take, like, I'll give them screenshots or something, and then I'll say, hey, how do I make this look better? How do I better communicate these things? And then let them go nuts, and then I won't be able to do everything that they draw over, but I'll do what I can, basically. And I think that's gonna make a big difference. I just thought of that yesterday or something. Let's see, what else is on my tech list? In team select right now, when you first get to it, I'll go into this so you can see what I'm talking about. There's this like weird user flow issue of, like, after doing, like I mentioned this before, it's an annoying thing to learn how to use the player select menu, and once you do that, there's another very similar menu that is similarly annoying. What the fuck? That's not what I want. The menu, play. Yeah, when you go into a match, you have to pick your teams, and this is a similar kind of user experience flow thing. And when you start, you might have noticed that dad is in the gray zone, which is like nothing. And in order to even be able to start the game, somebody, preferably dad, would pick up their pog and move it to some team, whatever team that is. And then, then you press start. That should say, that shouldn't, or no, it should say plus, because we're on fake Switch platform. And so ideally that team select screen would automatically have players shuffled in by default, and I also want to do like a shuffle button so that I can just keep hitting shuffle until it's like more what I want. Yeah. Yes, Dipwinson, there are 14 characters and 4 arenas. Got a bunch. Really, there's 13 and a half characters because Dirk is more of a reskin, but you know, still counts because he's got a suit. He's the only sausage of the suit. Woo. Okay. Oh, the other big point. Yeah, the other big thing that is kind of a mix of design and tech is the overworld. Just by virtue of being kind of a big 3D space where the player can move wherever they want, and because this is a third-person game where the camera is controlled by the game and not by the player, it behooves us to try to make the camera not go into walls as much as possible, or block the view of your player as much as possible. And there are definitely some places in the game where you can get the camera stuck on a wall, and that is not ideal. Not stuck. You can't get it stuck in the wall, but you can put it inside of a wall. I am proud to say that the camera does not ever break completely. So right over here is what I'm thinking of. You can just get inside the wall. This looks really bad, obviously. It's not like easy to do it. There's not really a reason to stand here, but it's still like it's important to maintain the illusion of quality by like doing the due diligence to make the game not break. Might be the only spot where it's really bad. Oh, come on, get in there. Get in the ground. Yeah. Stephenson, each character has 3 or 4 different skins, and you select it by picking a character and then clicking on your name card, or you can hit the top face button on your controller. For me, that's Y. I don't like Spits or Sniffs skins. I like Spits. I like Sniffs. Fuck, I keep mixing them up. I like Spit skins, but I don't like Sniff skins. Cowmel? Is that the pun? Yeah. Cowmel. It's only 2 buses. Just giving you a preview. Dirk skins are actually different from Scouts, so that's a thing. American Eagle, Ghost Pier, Hawk Pier. Yeah. Oh, Alley has a Ghost Alley. Blood Alley. Yeah, that's all of them. Yeah, this menu is very Smash Bros. I don't remember which version you saw, if the version you saw even had a character select menu, since it was probably the Twitch one, but I went through several iterations of character selects and it eventually just became Smash, basically. Which, has ups and downs. Like, people see that and they think, oh, is this just a Smash clone? Until they see the gameplay, and then it's clearly nothing like Smash. And there's the added benefit of, if somebody has played Smash before, they pretty much know how to use this menu. So it's kind of, it's hits and misses. Yeah, the camera is a thing. There's a bunch of ways to solve those problems. None of them are like something I want to do very much. So Um, I'm gonna. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stop the stream for like 1 second and then come back so that I have like a clip to upload to YouTube. So give me 1 second.